What it do, YouTube? Trust Talk Podcast back at it again. It's your host, Mr. GDK. Appreciate y'all for stopping by. Appreciate y'all for being here. And as always, welcome. So, and also, man, if y'all watching, y'all see the notification icon in the corner. Like, subscribe, share, do all those great things. If not, hey, then don't. So, today's topic I want to get into is hmm, living lukewarm versus living God's purpose for your lives for married couples. Um, I'm doing this one because this is a topic and a discussion that I am 100% guilty of. I can truly raise my hand and say that I am guilty of living lukewarm.
Guilty, 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 guilty.
And when I think about it, it's it was something that just kind of dawned on me. You know, we go through life, man, especially, just really for everybody. But, like I said, I try to stick to to my married couples. We go through life just, you get into to those habits of, get up, go to work every day. If you got kids, you come home, take care of the kids, you're trying to make sure this is taken care of, these things are taken care of, bills are paid, if kids got events to get to and just the whole hustle and bustle of life. And man, you get to going and getting in these routines and you know, day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out. And man, it just kind of come like a normal habit of just, repeating that, and when I say living lukewarm, that doesn't necessarily means that, you know, you don't have God in your life. It's just, it's just a norm, man. You could be just you can go to church, but it's more of are you really exercising your faith like you are supposed to. And so when I think of, living lukewarm versus living God's purpose, and then I thought about myself, I was like, man, this is something I know that I am super guilty of living lukewarm, just, getting up, doing your everyday thing, coming home. You may go to church here and there, you may attend this here and there, but then I looked at myself in the mirror like, man, am I really, really exercising my faith? Like, am I really like putting my faith out there and standing on it? Not just for me, but I'm married, so I represent my wife as well. So am I really doing that to its full potential? And I stepped back and said to myself, hmm, no, I am not. I said, no, I am not. Because when for married couples, when you think, you get married, two becomes one. So when the two becomes one, that doesn't mean that the energy stays the same. If you're combining two, that means the energy should magnify significantly. It should just it should amplify up because you're making two into one. So the output should go higher. And a lot of times, man, like I said, we get into life and life situations, and it's not the case all the time because we just it's just a habit. It's just natural. So it's one of these topics that like I said, I know I'm guilty of. So hey, I raised my hand as well. And but what do you do when you catch yourself and you feel that you feel and you know that you've been living lukewarm versus really trying to stay consistent at living's, God purpose for your life and your marriage? What do you do? How do you get back on track? It's really no difference than any other thing. You got to work at it. If you want to lose weight, and you got to start eating healthy. You don't necessarily have to go to the gym. You can work out at home, but some people like to go to the gym. Whatever the case may be, you just got to put that work in and be consistent. You know, and that just takes time. Excuse me, I'm stumbling over my words, but that just takes time. Um, and just that effort and staying disciplined at it and staying very disciplined at it. So as always, got my scripture ready, and this comes from Revelation, third chapter, where it speaks on God speaks to the church of. Make sure I pronounce the word right. I think it's Laodicean. So let me get here and make sure I get to my right verse. I'll switch my camera in a minute. Yeah, here we go. So without further ado, let's switch. Boom. Move this over where I want it. There we go. So the lukewarm church. Oh yeah, that's where we at. As I said, Revelations, third chapter, 14th verse. So let's get to it. And let me get the reading. And unto the angel of the church of the Laodiceans write, these things saith the Amen, the faithful and true witness, the beginning of the creation of God. I know thy works, that they are neither cold nor hot. I would thou wert cold or hot. So then, because thou art lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of my mouth. Get out of there. Check this part out, though. This is what's interesting. Because thou sayest, I am rich and increase with goods, and have need of nothing, and knowest not that thou art wretched and miserable, and poor, and blind, and naked. That's interesting. That's interesting. Let me switch back. So, as always, I got my reader with me sitting right over here. Yep, yep, yep. Let me bring it closer to me because I'm finna definitely use it. So, all right. Okay, this particular, passage in Revelations is interesting because it it speaks on this particular city, this particular church in the city of this word tends to roll off my mouth just ugh, I don't like it. Laodicea. They were a pretty kind of this city was kind of well off. It was very profitable. Um, so it wasn't a city that was struggling. It was thriving. People had the things that they need. No one, was doing without. So, you know, a lot of people was just like I said, just kind of going about their norm. They wasn't struggling for anything. They wasn't wanting for anything because everything they need, they pretty much kind of had. So therefore, you know, they had faith, but they didn't have genuine faith. It wasn't being exercised. And then when I think about that, when it speaks on when it comes to marriages, man, we like I said, I know I'm guilty of this. It's kind of be the same way, man, when you like I said, you get in that routine, you got everything going, you and everything's just kind of flowing right. You tend to kind of feel, just don't exercise your faith well. And, you just get caught up in those habits of just going and going and going. And it's interesting to think like, I thought to myself, I said, man, would if God was to come right now, would he spew me out, just like the verse said? And I was like, hmm. And it really made me think, would he spew me out? And I thought, and I thought real, real hard. I said, you know what? It's a very good chance he would spew me out because I'm neither hot nor cold. I'm lukewarm. And that's something, not just individually, but especially as a married couple, you don't want to be in a situation. I won't say a situation, but you don't want to be lukewarm for God when He is on fire for you. Because trust me, He is on fire for us. He is not lukewarm for us. What He did, sending His Son to the cross for us, does not consider lukewarm. It is considered on fire because that's just how much He loves us. And just being honest, that's just a fact. But I want to read something from my study Bible. No, don't do that, Mike. Be still. Read this from my study Bible. It's all right. It says the church is likened to lukewarm water or as being virtually worthless. Christ says he will spew them out or reject them from his company. The hot waters of a nearby city called Hierapolis were known for their medicinal qualities, whereas another a local city that was nearby, later city, um, Colossae, was known for its cold water, which was pure water. But Laodicea was forced to receive water by um, aqueduct, which is it's like a transportation. So they had to get their water in from somewhere else, and by the time their water got there, if it was hot, it will cool off. If it was cold water, it would kind of warm up. So by the time it got there, it was lukewarm water, and and about this says by the time it arrived to the city, it was lukewarm and provoked nausea. So that's the kind of the comparison about when it comes to how they used to how that city would get its water and how the people in the city in the church in the city were like they were lukewarm, so it wasn't worth drinking. It provoked nausea, so that's why it comes to and it refers back to the term spew you out. And and that is something, like I said, I know I'm guilty of it. In being in a marriage, you do not want to be lukewarm in your marriage because, like I said, it's not one, it's two. So two being one should always have more energy. You should have more output. You should, you should never be lukewarm. And that's hard to say never, but it's something that we as married couples definitely should be cautious of because we are two individuals coming together now as one working towards the same goal. So lukewarm we should never be. Never. Even though we struggle, we fall. Like I said, I know I'm guilty. We struggle, we fall, but we do not want to catch ourselves being lukewarm, being, married couples, being couples, like I said in my very first video, having, a marriage that we know we need to hold in high honor, knowing that we said I do, knowing that we're making these sacrifices and and everything else to make our marriage go. You know, we 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 as married couples have to be the blueprint and do our best to be the blueprint because it's, as we see what's going on in society, like I said, society is literally throwing stones, throwing trash. It's just ridiculing marriages. Like it's making marriages look bad, and it's making the concept of marriage look even worse. It really is. So, man, I truly believe that married couples, we need to be the blueprint. You know, our our energy, our faith needs to be, better. Mine needs to be better. My output needs to be better. Um, and likewise, man, I believe that for all married couples because, like I said, we're the blueprint. You know, when people, walk up on married couples or ask, married couples how long they've been married, and people be asking how y'all been married 20 plus years and 30 plus years and all this. God, that's it. That's the answer. God, God. How? Mm, just like his son down here and struggled and he did everything and struggled. I wouldn't say he struggled, but he buried it all for us. You're gonna bear it all for your marriage with God in the center. So you get ready. That's how we buried it all, knowing what the end goal is. But I truly believe, man, married couples, we need to be the blueprint. We definitely need to be the blueprint for trying to show the younger generation and show society um how to not be lukewarm, how to, you know, let our purpose and, our faith and why we are married and, why we are proud to be married show, but like in you know, I'm sorry, not say try to do, but try to be consistent and show those qualities and show that discipline of not being lukewarm. And and a lot of people will say, well, how do you not be lukewarm, or how do you get from being, catching yourself being lukewarm to, fixing it? What do you do? And for me, it's not necessarily the answers are simple, but the work for it, the work is not simple. It's gratifying, but it's not simple. Um, and it's one, you know, when you're a married couple, just like let's say you make time for date nights and paying, showing each other attention and affection and all those qualities, you do the same thing for God. Do the same thing for the Lord in your life. So I always say one thing, you set aside time as a couple together, and wherever that needs to be, your prayer closet, whatever, but you definitely set time aside together to give the Lord the time and the affection that he deserves. And also do it individually. Yes. So you set just like you do it, set time and set a priority for anything else, you do it for that as well. As a couple. And if you want to involve kids, absolutely do it with kids as well. So y'all can make it a whole family. It's a whole family time, whether it be once a week for an hour or whatever the case, whatever works for your schedule. But definitely, definitely prioritize, you know, a moment or a time, space, whatever you want to call it, with the God being in the center, whether that be reading together, praying together, worshiping together, whatever the case may be. And like I said, also individually, because I truly believe that a husband, as a husband, you got to be able to listen to God in order to get great guidance. So, so like I said, individually as well. Um, what else? Exercise your faith. Just exercise it, and that could look different for married couples. That can look very different. That could be getting involved in something, whether they be at your if you attend a church or, it just could be something basic. You could be, um, going out, doing some, doing some help at a shelter. It can look so much. You could be doing an after school program, and helping kids, or it just could be anything. You know, if you like I said, if you attend church and you have groups, or you may, be involved in a certain ministry in the church, that's a great place to exercise it. There's so many different things that I can just say, but um those are just a couple of things. And prayer. Prayer is a big one. Prayer is a big one. Prayer and asking God for understanding on how to not be lukewarm and how to, not fall into that category. Prayer is definitely a big one. Um, and man, it's just kind of one of them things you just have to go through, I guess, and learn from it, and recognizing it is a very, very important key, on that not wanting to be lukewarm recognizing it is a very important key. Um, but this video, I'm not gonna necessarily just be strong like my last video when it came to the knowing versus the culture. This one is more, a realization of, where I feel one where I felt that, a marriage could be at. Like I felt this one was more, it's personal to me because and I don't want to be a lukewarm individual for God. Not for, you know, all the things that he has done for me. I don't want to be lukewarm. And I also wanted to, a very key point that, is important to me is, and this is something that I think about a lot. I know a lot of individuals, whether you're married or single, want to experience something that is beyond the normal, that is a true enriching experience with God. I truly believe that everybody wants to experience something like that. I truly believe that a lot of people feel like, they want to have that type of experience where it's like, I truly felt God's presence on me, around me, in my life, in my home, in my space. And that is something that, you know, I feel that if you want to experience that, that's why you work at being disciplined at getting your relationship closer to God because he will he will not fail you. He will not let you down. If you're looking for that experience, go after him because that's what he's not gonna walk away. He's gonna as you go after him, he's gonna come near you. And once you truly meet and you truly get to feel that experience is going to be something that you are never in your life want to let go of. I can guarantee you that the experience that you're looking for, he has it, and it's going to be something that you're going to want and hold on to for the rest of your life. I promise you. And that is something and I'm speaking for myself as well. And that's why I think, that's why I say I think a lot of people are looking for the experience or looking for that experience. Um and that's just, like I said, making personal, when you show God that you are willing to create a space and a personal space to where if you're individual where you and him can dwell, if you're a couple where all three of y'all can be, he truly appreciates that. He really, really does. He wants to be, as he say, stand at the door and knock, and he wants that. Let him in. He wants to sit down and be cool with you, kick it with you. He wants to be your like as the statement say, he wants to be your interior decorator. He wants to come into your inner and get all the clutter that's in your lives out the way. And that's what's gonna start happening with the experience. He'll start to come in and be like, and he gonna do it so gentle. He'll be like, you wanna know what? This is one of the things right here that's been blocking that communication wall between us. Do you mind if I matter of fact, I do you he some things he'll just move. And then sometimes he'll do it with so much grace. He'll be like, yo, I need to get this out the way. Do you mind? Like this type of guy. When he needs to get it out now, don't be wrong. He'll come through that thing and kick it slap out. But sometimes he moves with so much love and grace. He wants to show you that he is willing, to work with you wherever you are, because he came for the sick. He ain't come for the perfect. So he knows that you struggle and you fight with certain situations anyway. So he's willing to meet you exactly where you are as long as you're willing to go after him. He's gonna meet you exactly where you want to be met, and he's gonna work with you exactly in the way you need to be worked with. And that's just how God is. And man, that. And if people want to experience that, go after him. And then you'll find out why. You'll look back and be like, man, it was never worth, you know, I wish I would have never got caught living lukewarm. Because man, I definitely don't. And like I said, it was something that I'm guilty of, and this is kind of a personal, podcast on for this particular episode to speak of because I don't want to be lukewarm. I definitely don't. It's not something that I particularly want to, be. I would rather be hot, on fire, or at least working my way to get there. You know. But for married couples, man, we definitely, like I said, we have to be the blueprint. We have to. You know, two are always stronger than one, especially two that has a union with God, and God has ordained and blessed that union. We are the strongest. We are the ones that hold and carry the torch. We are. And I think sometimes we especially in today's time, especially in this society, man, we get that gets lost. It gets lost because like I said, marriage is literally getting treated like when God was going to Calvary to get hung on the cross. Literally, like that's how marriage is getting treated. Just stones thrown at, ridicule, talked about, spit on, like it's getting abused and mocked and just all the bad things that you can think of. That is what's happening. Yet, man, yet we have to endure, be the model, you know, and give the blueprint and help, those that don't understand what it really is about. Like and I want to be, transparent. You know, when you want to come out of being lukewarm to being into being on fire or, you know, radiant for God, you're going to endure some things. You're going to go through some things. You're going to be tested. How that's just totally is dependent on, you know, the situation, but you're going to be tried and you're going to be tested. You're going to be tried and you're going to be tested. That is, that is honest. You're going to be tried and tested, but I, I can assure you the process is worth it. The grind is worth it. It's just, it's think of it as, delayed gratification. Because when you go to the gym, because anybody who knows and goes to the gym, work out, want to lose weight, you don't lose weight in the first you don't lose no weight right then. It is delayed gratification. You can start, and then 30 days later, you may start seeing results. And it's going to be the same way because what God definitely does want, he wants it to be authentic. He don't want no fake relationship. He wants authenticity from me and anyone else that is truly looking to get closer to him. He wants real authenticity. He want to see you put that work in. And when you do, trust me, he gonna be right there with you. You look, you on your 49th push up and you trying to get that 50 out, he gonna be right there in your ear. Come on. You got it in you. Push. Push. You got it in you. He gonna be right there in your ear. That's how he operates. He look, as long as you putting the work in, he's right there. But as soon as you throw the towel in, get tired and quit, he gonna tell you, hey, this ain't where you quit it. Get up. Come on. You said you wanted this. You know, that's just how that's how God operates. Wants he wants authenticity from us, especially from married couples. He definitely wants that. And like I said, I think sometimes you know that gets lost. But you're gonna endure, and it's not bad. It'll hurt for a little bit, but once you get over it, you know, you'll be in a place where you're gonna be like, yes, I'm glad I did it. And now, you know, your faith will grow and it will um overflow into other aspects and other, avenues in your life. Whether if you're a married couple or a single individual, it will start to overflow into other avenues of your life, especially in your marriage. You know, it's and it's I don't even have a word for it. I can go with amazing, beautiful, fantastic, all them other words, but it's a word that, man, it can make you emotional. Forget all the other stuff. It can really make you emotional to see that when you're, and you want it, and you, it's not something that you can, that you have to worry about being perfect at. All like I said, there's a difference between perfection and authenticity. Those are two totally different things. Authenticity has vulnerability in it. Being perfect doesn't. And when it's only one person that's been perfect, so we definitely can't be that. But being authentic, that's something. Now that holds a quality and a characteristic that is unmatched. So remember that authenticity is key, and that's all. And that's all you can. That's the only way you can approach it is being authentic. So man, with that, that's kind of where I wanted to kind of go with this episode today, man. Just like I say, for us married couples, man, like I say, I hold myself accountable to this statement. Definitely need to be better at laying out a better blueprint for individuals, for married, I'm sorry, for single individual to see, and for younger married couples, man, just laying out a better blueprint, of not being lukewarm in our marriages, because when we're lukewarm, we don't show no genuine faith. And a lot of people, a lot of these people, as you see, you can look on these podcasts, they don't have no faith in marriage. They have zero faith in marriage. They think marriage is trash. But a lot of that falls on one, it wasn't in the home, and two, on those that they see married. We are failing at such a miserable rate. Who wants to, like, who want to believe in it? Nobody wants to believe in something that they always, every time they turn around and look, at always failing. It's failure, failure, failure. So who wants to believe in it? But we have to hold, as married couple, we have to be better and hold ourselves accountable, because a lot of the times that falls on us. We're lukewarm. The stuff that we're, you know, just like it said in that city, they was thriving, doing well. They had all the things that they needed, so they really wasn't, their main focus wasn't on God, and so the thing, so they were so comfortable with, getting goods, that they, they were more concerned with that than really focusing on God. And therefore, like I said, they lacked a lot. They lacked a lot. But, you know, it's, but we married couples, we have to do better, man. We have to lay out a better blueprint, man. We have to. This generation, they're looking for anything to follow. Anything that grabs their attention, they grasp on it. And they grasp onto it and hold it very, very tight. So I think we have to do a better job of, you know, showing a better blueprint, showing, that, what God has blessed us with, the union that He's blessed us with, the honor in our marriage that He blessed us with, that we have to show that and hold that high in order for the younger generation to understand that, hey, if this is what you truly want, then understand. You know, one, you got to put some work. Can't be lukewarm, and you can't be lukewarm about God, and you can't be lukewarm about marriage, for sure. That is for sure. But man, let me check my stuff over here. But I want to just try to, get this video and get this message out there. It wasn't gonna be something that, was gonna be super, 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 into. Next video we probably gonna get into, I don't know which one I want to do first. I don't know if I want to tackle friends or the effects of social media on marriages. So I don't know which one I'm gonna come with after this one next. It may be friends, or it may be the effects of social media on marriages. So it'll be one of those two that'll be coming next. I'll figure out which one I want to do next. But friends will be a good one. Social media though, oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna try to put my foot in that one for sure, because I think a lot of us don't pay attention to that one. Social media has really, really, have put interesting, just light on marriages in today's culture. But whatever. But man, with that being said, I'm finna get up out of this thing, man. It's a late night session for me. Been moving and grooving this week, trying to get some things done, trying to get some things in order. So um, just been a little bit off rhythm, but I wanted to get something, get something done and speak on something, that I felt that was important. And like I said, this one was a little, was personal to me because, like I said, I know that I'm super guilty of this one, of being lukewarm. So that's why this one was kind of personal for me. It took me a while to kind of figure out how I wanted to approach it, but I just said, well, you know what, just let's just do it and just see how it goes. But you know, glad I did. So, but with that being said, man, as always, it's your boy, Mr. GDK. I appreciate y'all for stopping by, hearing my perspective as always. Always love, always peace. Man. Thank it. Thanks to everyone that's been, checking out my videos. I appreciate it. Like I say, always, man, stay prayed up, stay humbled, because hey, these streets is crazy out here. Man, and remember, please stay away from this culture. This culture is not what you want. But with all that said, man, I'm out of this thing. It's all love. Deuces.